everybody, and welcome to the 3 Points Podcast and BetGPT collab episode covering the bracket that just dropped. It's going to be including some March Madness giveaways, entries, which is going to be a lot of fun. But this has been something we've been really excited about. Our whole 3 Points Podcast crew is on here, Brady Ellens and Charlie Rose, and collabing with the BetGPT pod of Matt Coiner and Austin Slade. So, Slade, Coiner, what's going on, guys? How we doing?
Hey, it's I'm glad we're finally doing this. We've kind of had like a friendly competition to see who can get more views, but now we're coming together for this episode, and yeah, super excited. I know we got a bracket pool we want to talk about and try to get some listeners involved in both our spaces, but yeah, we're excited to be here.
Yeah, it should be a blast. But yeah, you mentioned that bracket pool. I'll talk about that here just real quickly. We're going to be tweeting out a bracket pool for everybody to join. It's free to join. Prize goes to the first place winner. Will be $100 cash. Basically, requirements to enter. You can include as many brackets as you want, but must tweet us your entry name and tweet at 3 Points Podcast and at BetGPT Podcast, which both of our accounts will be tweeting it out here shortly after this episode publishes. But recording this here at 6:15 Central Time. Bracket just dropped, so we'll get that out, but would welcome everybody to get a chance to join and be part of the fun March Madness season. So
can I call a timeout real quick? You said unlimited.
I was gonna say that doesn't make sense.
You gotta do one per person. We can't have unlimited. We're gonna have Tyler.
Oh, did I say unlimited?
Yeah, we're gonna have Tyler.
Oh, my bad.
We'll have one person do 100, and we'll be giving them $100.
See, that's why we have 5 people on this podcast to for some checks and balances. We need
Coin and I are just here to be this. Coin and I are just here to be the second level review of your work.
Hey, that's a great timeout. That's a great under 2 minute review. So appreciate you guys for that.
3 timeouts remaining for Coiner. He's got 3 left.
That's it. But I'm gonna 1 entry per person. Follow us, tweet us at 3 Points Podcast and at BetGPT Podcast. And Coiner, I know you want to talk about a survivor pool that you're running as well.
Yeah, so there's going to be a survivor pool as well that I was in last year, and the guy's setting it up. Essentially, it's $100. You pick the first round. You pick 2 teams per day. You can't use them the rest of the tournament. And then from there on out, you just pick 1 team per day. So you kind of have to be a little strategic in the fact that you have to pick teams at the beginning. You maybe think they're going to lose in the round of 32 or the round of 16, because sure, you can win with like UConn and Houston on the first day, but you're probably going to need them as the tournament progresses. So if you're interested in that, just go ahead and tweet or DM me or the BetGPT podcast, and I'll get you hooked up with that.
Dude, I love doing those for NFL football. This would be my first one doing it for like college basketball and stuff. That sounds awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, those are 2 things we want to talk about. And now we're just going to jump straight in to the tournament here. So yeah, bracket just got dropped here got wrapped up about 18 minutes ago. We're going to kind of run through, starting off with just bubble teams, who's in, who's out, and then we're going to take a look at each region. Just kind of give our overall takes. So Brady, kind of want to start here on the bubble with you. I know there were a few teams that you thought should have been in. The last 4 in were Colorado State and Virginia, and Boise State and Colorado as well. And then first 4 out, Oklahoma, Seton Hall, Indiana State, and Pittsburgh. So your beloved St. John's was not even in the first 4 out. So Brady, over to you. Kind of like talk us through any thoughts from this kind of bubble shakeup.
Yeah, so the bubble, I feel like overall the committee kind of underseeded the Mountain West. The last 4 in, Colorado State, 2 of them are from the Mountain West, Colorado State and Boise State. I feel like a lot of bracketologists had them as like almost locks to be in, ended up barely making it in. Colorado getting also another playing game, and then a lot of people were surprised with Virginia being the last team to make it in. They had 2 quad 1 wins, 2-7 quad 1. They were 23-10 in a very underwhelming ACC conference, and net ranking of the 54. Indiana State net ranking 29th, best net ranking ever to miss the tournament. So kind of a bummer for them. And we had 4 bid stealers. So those first 4 out teams with Oklahoma, Seton Hall, Indiana State, and Pittsburgh. Just huge bummer for those teams. Watching teams like NC State, Oregon, UAB, and New Mexico is kind of on the bubble before, but they ended up winning their conference tournament. So just brutal for those teams. And then St. John's, I was a fan of St. John's. I was rooting for them to make it. Why? They just got an aura about them, man.
What did they show?
What was your favorite St. John's game?
They beat UConn.
Name 3 of their songs.
Hey, they they gave UConn a good game, lost to them in the Big East tournament 95-90. I feel like they've played well the last couple games of the season, and they're kind of not peaking at the right time, but playing their best ball at the end of the season. So, and I saw that they denied the NIT bid, so they are officially done. So glad we could watch some Virginia and circle motion. Really, really electrifying in the playing game.
That circle motion is lethal, man. That they wrote.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure they'll be putting up high 40s in that game. But yeah, I agree though, Brady. I think like those bid stealers that came out throughout the week between like NC State, Oregon, UAB, New Mexico was on the bubble and they won their tournament. So a lot of those teams missing out. And I agree. I think just like everyone's kind of had Mountain West fever, and the committee didn't really agree with that clearly by putting a couple of them in the playing game. So, but yeah, I mean, moving on here, I think we kind of wanted to start just going region by region. East region, UConn, the overall number 1 seed. Do you guys agree with that? I feel like they're kind of the clear number 1 seed. I'm not sure. Yeah, Slade, do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're the best team, at least going into it.
Yeah, so they're in Brooklyn, which I mean, like their road in the East, I think it's Brooklyn, and then the East region's in Boston for the Sweet 16, so they're not traveling super far. On the whole, though, I mean, I guess Charlie would like to get your opinion on this too. Like, I feel like this is the hardest region out there between like UConn, Iowa State being a 2 seed, you get the Big East champ, Big 12 champ, SEC champ. Like, I feel like this is a really harder like part of the bracket.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting too. Like it was the first one revealed, so you're kind of like seeing like a bunch of big names get taken off the board right away. You're like, wait, they need to like save some of these good teams for other regions. But like you said, like San Diego State and Florida Atlantic, both in the Final Four last year, they're all like right up there with UConn. So that's kind of funny how they put them in the same section. But like Iowa State, ran through the Big 12 tournament, slaughtered Houston in the finals. That's a tough 2 seed. 3 seed Illinois ran the table in the Big 10 tournament. So like, yeah, a lot of teams that are coming in super, super hot into that like top left, like East region. So I think it's definitely doable for UConn. I mean, they're still, I think in my head, the best team as well, but not going to be that easy.
So I know we're kind of focusing on UConn at the top of this East region, but looking at the bottom, kind of where I want to focus. I don't know if you want me to get a little crazy right now or save it, but I think I'm taking BYU to the Elite Eight. So
really,
yeah. So BYU, they played Duquesne first, the 11th seed. Duquesne does not even freaking belong in this tournament. They suck.
Hey man, first time in 45 years they're in it.
First time in 45 years that they're going to get destroyed. Doesn't matter. So not worried about Duquesne. They're playing Illinois. We've watched 3 Illinois games the past 3 days. No one here is that impressed with them. No one likes them. They're beating Illinois too. And then they can go against Iowa State, who they've already beaten once this year. I'm taking BYU.
I like that. Brady, what do you got?
Also, interesting possible Sweet 16 matchup, rematch of last year's national championship game, UConn, San Diego State, if San Diego State can get through that. And also FAU, 3 of the 4 Final Four teams from last year, all in the same part of that region.
You don't like FAU much this year, right, Brady? I mean, I know they've been trending down. They have most of the same players, I think, but they just haven't been impressive at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think they really, really benefited from their reputation from last year making the Final Four. Looking at their overall resume, I was shocked that they were an 8 seed. Net ranking of 39, 2-2 quad 1, which is fine, but they had 3 quad 3 and 4 losses. So pretty shocked that they were comfortably in the tournament. But I mean, obviously I could see them making a decent run. They got like talent.
They're comfortable in. KenPom has them 41. Meanwhile, Boise State, who's 39 on KenPom, is stuck in the play-in game. There's been some weird decisions in terms of this bracket.
Brady, you're the SEC guy. What do you think about Auburn at 4 seed?
Auburn finished the season strong, obviously winning the SEC tournament. If they're able to beat Yale, which the Ivy League always does well in the tournament, Auburn versus San Diego State would be a heck of a matchup. Just 2 really physical, athletic teams.
Also, do you guys have like Joe Lenardi's burner or something? Because he had FAU as like the last 4 in, and they were just an 8 seed. So our favorite bracketologist, very, very close to the scoop.
I appreciate so many people just jumping down like Joe Lenardi's neck on Friday when he's just like, yeah, time for me to go to bed. Like there's a Pac-12 game on. There's like another game on. I'm like, This dude literally works 2 months, maybe a year, and he's
This
raw.
is the biggest weekend of the year.
I want to see what his thing finished up as, because it had to have like a 25% success rate. The dude's just a glorified weatherman.
He had Michigan State too as like last four in.
For the NFL fans in here, that reminds me the Browns and trade deadline day a couple of years ago. Sashi Brown left the building at 2 p.m. to go hang out with his kids before the 4 p.m. deadline. I was like, what are we doing here? So it happens, it happens.
You can't get family time back, man.
It's true.
Bear, I want to ask you something. So
what do you got?
We have Iowa State in here. We have Drake in this conference. So, this is like, that shootout that you guys used to do in Des Moines. What was that called? The Hy-Vee?
The Hy-Vee Classic has moved to Omaha for March.
So if that's a matchup, do you think that that means anything? Do you think that Iowa State and Drake know a little bit more about each other, or not really, because they haven't played?
I think it's great. I think that's going to be a hard ticket to get in Omaha, between Iowa State, Drake, and then also you throw in San Diego State's also there. That's not too far from Omaha either.
South Dakota State.
Or South Dakota State, that's what I meant. Yep, South Dakota State. So between those three, that's going to be a packed session. I personally, as someone from Iowa, I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to watch one of those games, hopefully at a bar. Brady, I know obviously for you, obviously having some Drake roots. Just wanted to know. I know I had a chance to watch the selection show. Saw the Drake camera went out when he got called. Would that have happened on your watch or no?
Man, well, actually, they had Creighton's camera synced up to Drake.
Oh,
and I think they cut it because then it wasn't the Drake setup. They flashed for a couple seconds. So even when I saw it, I was like, "Where are they? Where are they watching that?"
Yeah.
So that's probably on CBS's end, or I don't know, but that was a tough visual for sure.
Yeah. How are you feeling about their draw, though?
I mean, I like it. Really cool that the committee, respected Drake, gave him a 10 seed. Washington State, watched a little bit of them this year. I think they're the tallest team in Division I. And they got a really good guard. And also former Drake standout Joe Yesufu transferred to Kansas and then transferred from Kansas to Washington State. Unfortunately, he's hurt and he's out the rest of the season, but that would have been a really cool storyline.
That would have been
glad
cool.
He's not playing, though. That'll help Drake. And, you see these big teams in March, probably not the best shooting teams. And then, all it takes is a team that's guard heavy and they get hot from three, and that's how upsets happen. So I think it's a good spot for Drake, and Drake fans will show out in Omaha for sure. Less than 2 hour drive.
Yeah. I mean, I'd still concerned. I had a chance to watch that Iowa State Houston game where Iowa State just completely dominated Houston. I mean, just defensively, I feel like they're still going to lock up like crazy. But I feel like if there's one kind of thing to pick at, I feel like they could just go cold, kind of like last year. They're not the best shooting team. Obviously, they shot it well, but not sure if you had any thoughts there too.
That'd be a really tough matchup for Drake. I mean, just winning a tournament game and advancing to the round of 32 would be a huge success. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that'll be a problem once Drake gets there.
Yeah. Slade?
I was going to ask, how much does how hot you get right before the tournament actually matter? Out of the last 10 national champs, only 3 won their conference tournament. I mean, that's Kansas in 22, Villanova in 2018, and then Louisville in 13. So Rick Pitino, that got vacated due to the inappropriate conduct in the dorm rooms. But I just feel like there's different levels of desperation when it comes to these conference tournaments, and then the location can matter. So, I don't buy it a ton going into the actual tournament.
Well, also off that point too, Slade, the committee I don't think they put a whole lot of stock into these conference tournaments. I mean, Iowa State was seeded as the last 2 seed. And there was people talking about them potentially being a 1 seed, after that conference tournament, that Big 12 tournament win. But committee didn't really seem to put much stock in it, put Marquette ahead of them. Same with Arizona and Tennessee, who got bounced out earlier too. So yeah, I don't know on those kind of conference tournament slates, but I think that's just such a tough side of the bracket, though, and that's one I'm definitely going to be watching here pretty closely too.
Yeah, I do have an Auburn future. I got it at 20-1. I got it on the 11th, so before they even won the SEC tournament. I don't feel as good about it after seeing this draw, but just some stats for you. They're 4th in KenPom. They're 8th in defensive efficiency. They have 4 guys who shoot over 40% from 3. They have a veteran coach. They got some winning DNA. Coiners, I know you have all those stats on how to frame or like what criteria is needed for a future
Yeah.
national champ, and they check a lot of boxes.
Yeah, so we can talk about the formula more towards the end when we're giving our futures out. But I wanted to ask you, Slade, is Auburn able to play all their games in this tournament at home? Because if so, then yeah, they can actually contend.
Yeah, I don't feel great about it anymore. I admit that, but full transparency, I had like the FanDuel, like every win that team gets in tournament, you get $10 back. So I'm like, I might as well take a long shot with it if it's risk free. You know, they win a couple games.
Sure.
They're
Yeah,
also
I can
3
see
and
it.
7 in quad 1 games, which is that stands out compared to all the teams that their net and their KenPom is.
Hey man, I thought you respect the SEC. I guess not.
Brady does not, apparently. Just switches on a dime. Cool.
Yeah.
But no, I think that go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know. I mean, the East, like I think we can kind of just keep rolling through these, and maybe towards the end, if we have any like best bets or anything, we can kind of reference back. But if you guys want to move on to the next region, I think we should roll. That.
Go for it.
All right, let's go to the bottom left, the West. So we got some Charlotte matchups there. Slade, you gonna make it out there, or you just want me to read them off after you tell me no?
No, I will not be there. If someone wants to buy my ticket, and I still probably wouldn't go, but I appreciate you guys thinking about me.
Sure. All right, so we got North Carolina as the 1 seed. They have a play-in game. They're going to destroy whoever comes out of that. We got Michigan State as a 9 seed against Mississippi State. Michigan State, some people thought they were in the bubble, but it looks like I guess they were clearly in somehow. We could get a potential blue blood matchup with North Carolina, Michigan State. So I know CBS is licking their chops at that one.
Mm-hmm.
Just continuing down, and then I'll hand this off back to you, Bear, with some initial thoughts. But St. Mary's, Grand Canyon, that should be a good one. Bama, Charleston, Clemson, New Mexico. So that's a 6-11, but I think New Mexico is actually a 1.5 point favorite there. So that's something to keep an eye on. Baylor, Colgate, Dayton, Nevada, and then Arizona, Long Beach State. So anything jump out at you when you first saw that, Bear?
So, yeah, the first thing that jumps out to me, I know you mentioned New Mexico there. Shout out to a good friend of the pod, Austin Ash. Big fan of the Lobos. I share that with him. I think they're going to beat Clemson head-to-head. But I think overall, I think this drop pairs really well for Arizona. Like, I think that's kind of like my major takeaway. Long Beach State, like, team that barely got in. Obviously, they won their conference tournament, but nothing too crazy. And then I think the other team to watch more so that I'd be more worried about, other than North Carolina, is probably Baylor too. Like if I'm Arizona looking at that. But I think I'm gonna be having Arizona come out of this side, and then I think they're probably gonna end up against either Baylor or New Mexico. There, those are the things that look at least caught my eye right away. I'm not sure, Brady, if you agree.
Yeah, I think Baylor's definitely a team to look out for. And another team I was really surprised at their seeding was Dayton. I mean, as a 7 seed, that kind of just blows my mind. The A-10 was not a good conference at all this year, and they took third in the A-10, lost in the semis of the conference tournament or the quarterfinals. So I was just kind of surprised with that. I think Nevada beats Dayton, and then Arizona, really tough team, and I do think Mississippi State could give North Carolina some trouble. Mississippi State, a really physical team. They got the size to match up with North Carolina. Would not be shocked if they beat Michigan State, who I think is definitely.
You're on the record. You think Michigan State's trash. You're on the record.
Yeah, a 19-14 team in this year's Big Ten. I mean, to be a 9 seed, they should be a play-in team. But anyways, I got Mississippi State beating Michigan State, and then wouldn't be surprised if Mississippi State gives Carolina a good game in the second round.
Yeah. Slade, is there any any of these games that you're kind of keying on too, or any of these teams you think can make a deeper run?
I think the general public's going to be riding Arizona because I think you're going to get some of these people talking themselves into hey, they're going to get to Phoenix in the Final Four. I'm going a little chalky with this side of the bracket. I think I kind of like UNC. I don't think Clemson is very good as 6 seed from what I've seen out here on ACC Network. I'm not impressed. I don't know. I think it kind of just works really well for those top 2 teams. If you ask me for the entertainment value, though, I'm kind of skipping. I'm skipping that 5-12 matchup. I don't really care about that one at all.
That 5-12 matchup between St. Mary's and Grand Canyon reeks of the 9:30 Eastern tip of the last day of the game. That I'm you know what, could not care less.
Pac-12 after dark.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Pretty much. I agree with that, Sid.
I think this is coming off of this. Like, this might be looking at this from afar. This might be my weakest one. I mean, I think it's top heavy 1 and 2, but I think the rest of the numbers in there, I don't like. I'm not huge on Baylor, especially if they're not playing at home. Dayton, I thought they were a lot better earlier this year, but they've kind of fallen off. So, like, if I'm Arizona or if I'm at UNC, I would be super stoked about the draw that they both got, considering like how hot teams are. And I know, like, we said this earlier, like how much does like winning your conference tournament or getting knocked out of your conference tournament help? Like, I think UNC losing and Arizona losing, like in my head, I'm like, oh, like they're gonna come in like hot, because they're one upset, they didn't win their conference tournament, things like that. So I think both of those teams not winning their conference tournament is only going to help them. And also like Bama, like any given night could go for 100, so that could be fun. Or but I don't know. I see, like, St. Mary's doesn't scare me. I think I watched them one time this year, and it was when like Gonzaga like shit pumped them out west, and I was like,
They did.
how is this? This team's like always like a 5 or 6 seed. But yeah, I mean they'll be all right. But I think if I'm UNC or if I'm Arizona, like they're kind of chalky picks, but those are the clear 2 teams in this division.
I was going to ask you guys, because you guys played, obviously Corner and I, to our listeners, we did not play D1 basketball, but
we don't even know how to dribble or shoot, so we'll let you guys do this.
Would you guys have wanted to, like, I want to say you guys wanted to lose early, but like, do you think there is an advantage to losing early, or is it kind of like, I know in baseball, like teams claim it's a disadvantage, like to get out of rhythm to like, or is the rest really that valuable?
In the conference, like losing early in the conference tournament?
Yeah, and getting those extra like 2-3 days.
A little. I mean, like,
I'm sure it depends on the situation and like your seeding and stuff, but
yeah. I mean, I think just kind of like tournament prep in itself, and Brady can kind of chime in here too. Like, I feel like it's just different in general. Like, I feel like you're waiting, even once you're knocked out, like you're kind of like waiting around a couple days, like a couple off days. Like, you're obviously super excited, but I don't think it plays as huge of a factor. More like, I feel like more so it's just like you're just so excited to be playing in the NCAA tournament. That's like the bigger kind of factor, I guess. But Brady, not sure if you disagree with that.
Yeah, I agree. But I feel like if you lose early, obviously more rest, but also, there's a sense after you lose, like, all right, we got to not necessarily fix something, but we really need to like hone in on a couple of things. And, if you win, you might have more of a sense of an accomplishment. Like, all right, let's just keep doing what we're doing, even though you might not have played well, you had more tired legs. So I do feel like it might be a little advantage to not win your conference tournament in a way, but it's also when you win, your confidence is high. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, I think it also kind of depends on the state of your team. Like looking back at the 2020 Baylor team, they obviously went on to win the national title, but they were kind of struggling down the stretch. They kept winning their games regular season, but they gave up 89 and then over 70 a couple times in a row. And they lost in the second round to Oklahoma State. And I remember hearing their coach talk about how they just like worked on defense for a week straight. And then obviously that kind of helped them. They had Davion Mitchell and a couple of those other guys who could D people up. So I think it kind of depends. But Bear, do you have something you want to add to that?
Yeah, I did. I had a question for you, Brady. Alabama's the 4 here. I know you're the SEC guy, as we've mentioned on this pod. I mean, that looks like a pretty favorable draw for them. Are you thinking they're going to make it to the Sweet 16, or how are you feeling about that?
I do, yeah. Charleston, they were a good team last year, gave San Diego State a run for the money last year's first round game. I think Alabama, like Charlie said before, they just put up points. So just a matter of how they're going to defend. And I think they probably just have better athletes in Charleston. And then, I kind of feel like Grand Canyon might upset St. Mary's. I haven't looked at the spread of that game. I don't even know how much big of an upset that'd be, but I do have Bama going to the Sweet 16.
It's 4.5 St. Mary's.
4.5, yeah, not a huge upset. And another nugget on conference tournaments: no team that has won it all lost in the first round of the conference tournament. I don't know if you guys have seen that stat on Twitter.
I did see that.
Kansas, Tennessee.
Oh shit, Kansas? No.
No. I feel like it's busted already.
Yeah. Oh man, I had them going all
the
the way.
weakest of the top 4 seeds. Are they the biggest? Like, I can't imagine anyone taking them to actually make a run.
I think they're kind of the most unknown as well, just with the injuries to McCullers and to Dickinson. So, if they are healthy, I think they can make a run if they shoot well. That's kind of how their whole season's been. If they don't shoot well, then
Did Kentucky lose their first game?
Oof.
think they did.
I think they did. Yeah,
Yeah. Duke.
devastating. Duke did too. Tennessee
Darcy
did.
Rose.
Tennessee, Brady.
Tennessee.
That might be a good segue though, Corner. If we want to like move over to the Midwest region too.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Yeah, kind of looking through here. So Purdue, the 1 seed in Indianapolis, they're going to face off. When to figure out who that 16 seed is, but then 8-9 is Utah State versus TCU. Go Frogs. So I think I'm going to have TCU win that one. But I guess how are you guys feeling about Purdue this year? I feel like Purdue is always a mixed bag with everybody. Like kind of how everybody evaluates their previous postseason performance.
I think the committee was looking at this, the TV, everybody, they're thinking like, let's try to rope everyone in to fall in love with Purdue again. With this draw, they're like, okay, we'll give them like kind of a somewhat easy second game, like a Kansas team that could have nobody. Like, we're gonna get everyone back in on the Purdue train. Like they're gonna milk Zach Edey and that whole thing is one last time. But I think I was looking at it like I'm not a big Purdue guy, but I'm like, damn, I think I got to go with Purdue. Like this looks so nice for them. This path is nice.
I was going to say, if this conspiracy, let's say it is true, then it worked. It worked on me because I came in kind of skeptical on Purdue, and I think I might have to take them to make an extra win an extra game or two than I had originally on the bracket.
I think I'm the only person here who believes in Gonzaga. I came on the 3 points pod and said that this is not the same Gonzaga team, but I've since changed my mind from 2 weeks ago. Not the same team, but I think they're better. But also, I do want to say I did say St. Mary's would win the conference, so you have to give me some props for that. But I don't think we should look past Gonzaga. I mean, I said this on BetGPT last episode. For those who didn't listen, I hate Purdue. They are not good. I said that if Purdue wins a national title, I'll do the 1 chip challenge live for the last 15 minutes of our thing. So that's that really hot chip, whatever. I'm literally 0% concerned with that. Last time I made a guarantee this big, I said that Brock Osweiler wouldn't ever take a snap for the Browns. I told Brady I'd jump in the Iowa River. And of course, that snap never was taken. So I feel very good about this. I'm not worried about it. And I think Gonzaga can take them out. So that's
I think it kind of depends on your expectations, because if we're talking national title, then no, I agree. I don't think they're there. But if we're talking like a 1 and done, 2 and done, I think they're going to make a deeper run than that.
So, Coiner, we're at odds here, man. I am huge on McNeese State. Like 31-3 or 30-3. Sorry, they've had 1 loss since Thanksgiving. 4 guys in double figures. I think they're 5.5 right now, or 8.5 right now. But I would be interested in taking the money line. Like I think that's
shout out Matt Choice.
Shout out Matt Choice. He was our basketball intern or student trainer when when Brady, Charlie, and I were playing. And he's I don't know if he's the head trainer there. I'm not sure,
probably,
but he probably is the head trainer. Yeah. So, but yeah, I saw him cutting down nets, so he'll be excited to be out there for sure. But I think that's just one pot I'm looking at that. Like, I guess I'm not as high on Gonzaga, I guess, but
yeah. So Gonzaga's down to -6.5. If you do want to place that bet, just skip the FanDuel or casino and come talk to me, and
let's do it. I like that. Keep it within the pod. That's good. What do you got, Brady?
Keeping it in that little pod. Everyone's down on Kansas. They just got blown out in the Big 12 tournament, but they're resting their guys, and I think Bill Self is going to have those guys ready. I think they beat Samford, they beat Gonzaga, and Hunter Dickinson versus Zach Edey, little Big Ten rivals going at it. I think Kansas can definitely beat Purdue if they're healthy.
So wait, so you have Kansas potentially being the Elite 8?
Yeah, if Dickinson and McCullough play, yes, absolutely.
We start talking about the Zags
only 2
and Brady
players play.
Zags.
Yeah.
What?
We're talking about the Zags, so Brady has to take a pick that Zags from everyone else.
Hey, yeah, gotta keep it interesting,
So
I'm buying Kansas stock when it's low right now.
Brady had a bracket filled out at 4:01 Pacific today, like 1 minute after it came out. Did you have Purdue over Kansas, or what did that look like for you in that?
No, Kansas over Purdue.
Yeah, okay, all right. He's being serious.
Can
Kansas
you be in my bracket challenge? I want your money.
Yep.
Slade, what are your thoughts on Creighton down there at the bottom? They're taking on Akron. I know you're a Texas fan. What do you think of the bottom right? part of the bracket.
Bottom right. Yeah, I actually think they got a pretty decent draw. I mean, I do think Tennessee is solid, but they're beatable, and their second round game would be like what the winner of Oregon, South Carolina. I think I can pencil Creighton into the Sweet 16. That's kind of their MO. Get to the Sweet 16, and then it gets a little dicey. But I don't see them necessarily making a title run here, but I do think that they're at least good enough to make the Sweet 16 like usual.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think Tennessee is ultimately gonna come out of that and go to the Elite Eight. But definitely that would be a really good matchup.
Rick Barnes is going to be coaching against his former team. He kind of has that reputation of not getting the job done in the postseason either, so that'll be a little interesting to see.
Yeah,
and
well,
Texas's coach is maybe like the least popular coach right now. I feel like no one respects him. I know he was kind of like thrown in after like the Chris Beard thing, right? So it's not like he was handpicked, but
yeah. I think one of my future bets is going to be Creighton make the Sweet 16 whenever those like futures drop, which I hope to hear later tonight. I'm be really interested to see what that is, just because I really like their draw. Brady, question for you. I know you said, but even before this bracket dropped, you're like, I'm taking Tennessee to cover whoever they're playing. Doesn't matter. Like I'm all in on Tennessee in this opening game. I'm not as high on them. Why are you as high on them in this first game?
Well, this is a dream first round matchup for wanting to bet Tennessee because playing St. Peter's, St. Peter's did not win their regular season in their conference.
Peacocks, man.
Everyone will be, St. Peter's. Remember they beat Purdue last year? Different coach.
They don't have Doug Eddard anymore. They have no chance.
Doug Eddard ain't walking through that door, man. So yeah, Tennessee, they just got kind of embarrassed against Mississippi State last game. They pummel teams. Are just so physical. They got shooting, unlike previous Tennessee teams. And yeah, it's 18.5, 19.5. I mean, I will double down, triple down on that.
Yeah. I think obviously they'll get past St. Peter's. I'm not as high as them to make a deeper run in this tournament. I've watched them a few times. Obviously, I know, Brady, you watch the SEC a ton, but like I feel like in crunch time, they just keep all they run is like a double backstring to get Dalton Connect in the post. And I just don't think that like one-on-one is going to be feasible for them as it gets like further along in the tournament. I feel like it's just so centered around him. But I mean, I think this Texas team could, I mean, if they get past that playing game, like, I think they could give them some problems. I guess, do you guys think, I think that playing game slate is Virginia, Colorado State against Texas, which would be in Charlotte, so which would be big for some UVA guys. Do you have Texas kind of advancing there or no?
I do, but that's mainly because I think if UVA wins, I think UVA might be one of the worst teams in the tournament besides some of those 16 seeds and stuff like that. I think Indiana State should have got in. I know I'm going back to the bubble talk, but I think Indiana State was better than them. The net ranking difference was I think UVA was 54 and Indiana State was 29. So I do think they got a little lucky and they probably got some. I'm sure some of it had to do with the reputation of Tony Bennett and winning all those years.
Yep.
Do you guys think? I know of recent years we've had teams like UCLA in the playing games and make deep runs and other things like that. Do you guys think any of these 10 seeds of Virginia, Colorado State, Boise State, or Colorado? Do you think any? I'm looking at them right now. I'm like, gross. I don't see any of these teams making it to the second weekend. Maybe winning a game, but in the years past, I think there's been some bigger names, bigger teams in those Dayton games. You're okay, I could see them getting hot. I guess that maybe I don't watch a lot of Pac-12 or even Mountain West, but I don't, just name wise, and I look at those four teams, I'm I don't see anything happening here.
As someone who bet Colorado to win last night, I was disgusted by their performance. I will not be tailing them further. I haven't watched a lot of Mountain West, but yeah, Virginia, I could see them maybe making a run just if they get into a rock fight with somebody. That's the only way I could see them going, but nothing huge for me. But Brady, what do you got?
Yeah. One matchup we haven't talked about, South Carolina, Oregon. I think Oregon gets it done here. Oregon, the most injured team this season, playing their best ball at the end of the season. Dana Altman, great coach, going to have that team ready. And then to play Creighton in the second round, Dana Altman used to coach at Creighton. So that'll be an interesting matchup. Oregon, they're athletes, and they play that matchup zone that can give teams problems. So Oregon might be a team, a double-digit seed that I might be picking to make the second weekend.
I agree with you there. I think I'm taking Oregon over South Carolina, even though
Yeah,
their coach just got an extension and everything. And they have all the good feelings over there right now. But I'm taking Oregon.
So Oregon just winning the Pac-12 championship. I'll have you guys guess this line. What do you think the line is between Oregon and South Carolina?
2.5.
I'd say only a few points.
It's plus 1.5. Which that's for a 6-11 game, like that seems pretty tight. But
I'll take the Cox.
there you go. There's
Yeah,
Charlie.
we'll take all of them.
You know, when we were growing up and before like betting became very mainstream, I thought like 12-5 matchups were like huge upsets. And yeah, there are like big upsets, but really like a 3-point favorite like losing like is really not that big of a deal. So
Yep.
it kind of just shows you like how close these teams really are. And like when there is a Cinderella run, like and they're like an underdog winning like multiple games, like that truly is like very impressive to me. But really like anybody can win any of these games other than, the 15 and 16. That's probably not going to happen. It sometimes does, but everyone else is fair game to win, in my opinion.
100%.
There might need to be a market correction with some of these 15, 16 seed wins the last few years. We went like 100 years with like none. And then we've had like, 2 recently? At least 2. So
yeah, Arizona last year lost to Princeton, and then obviously
and then we had obviously Virginia, I don't know, like 2018 or whatever. So it just, I don't know. I think those were kind of more fluky outlier type things.
Yeah, I agree.
To the South we go, right? Anyone any thoughts on Midwest, or we good to go to the South?
Go for it.
Okay. All right. So I'll just read them off here, and then I have a best bet that I can once again give it. But so Houston, they're the 1 seed up there in the top right. They're playing Longwood. Does anyone know where Longwood is located by chance?
Virginia.
I don't.
Is that right?
I don't. That was my first career basket was against Longwood though. So.
Oh really?
Michigan.
It is in Virginia. Good job, Brady.
Good job, Brady. Points for snaps and claps for Brady.
Where's McNeese State? Is that Tennessee, or is that Murray State? Oh, okay.
Murray State's Kentucky.
Oh, okay. I knew it was in that area. That's close.
Continuing on, the 8-9 Nebraska, Texas A&M. That should be a good one. The PMT game, Wisconsin, James Madison. We also have Duke against Vermont. I know Charlie has some thoughts on Duke there. I can see him smirking. We got Texas Tech, NC State. NC State somehow won the ACC. They were 75-1, so I hope some of you were carrying those tickets. Kentucky, Oakland. This is my best bet. Let me just talk about this just for 2 seconds.
Yes.
Kentucky, Bear. I know you love Kentucky. This should make you feel a little bit better. So Oakland's in the Horizon League, and as you know, Kentucky has an elite offense. Oakland has the 163rd ranked defense. How in the world are they going to stop Kentucky? They are just going to be putting up numbies left and right. Where does Ken Palm have them on offense? They got to be. I think they're in
Oakland just plays like a junk zone too. Like it's some of the baskets they're going to give up are just going to be comical.
Reed Shepard's going to tear that up.
Take the Rob Dillingham over on points.
What's Kentucky's individual over-under going to be? Like 95? And that's
going to be up there.
On the safe
I bet
side?
like 80. I bet like 88.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm taking the over.
Yeah, if you don't love Kentucky because of their lack of defense, just take their team total over. But I really like Kentucky there. And then closing it out here, we have Florida. They're in a play-in game. Who are they up against? Is that the Boise State,
Colorado?
Yeah, Boise
That'll
State,
be a good
Colorado.
game.
That should be a good game. We talked about at the beginning, Boise State. They felt like they were kind of disrespected being in the plan, so maybe they kind of have a chip on their shoulder there. And then we have Marquette against Western Kentucky. So this is like Charlie Rose's region, pretty much to me, with Duke and Marquette. So let's start with you, man. What do you got here? What do you like here?
This region couldn't be any more me. Like just across like teams I love and teams I hate. Like just looking on there, like Wisconsin. I told myself this morning, I'm like, I don't care whoever they have, I'm taking the other team in the first round against them. But now that it's James Madison, I feel a lot better about that. Duke obviously they bowed out right away in the ACC. The Catamounts are nice, but I think Duke will at least get their first win. I don't see this Duke team doesn't scare me, so I don't think they're gonna I'm not gonna have them making a deep run, but I think they're gonna they're going to correct the ship and at least win a game or two and make it. And if they have to play Duke, Wisconsin game 2, I'm putting the house on Duke, just out of spite. And then, like you guys all know, Kentucky, like I love them. I was never a defensive guy. I love scoring, so they just make me smile every time I watch them. I'm like, this is so much fun. I love this shit. But and then as everyone who listens knows, like Marquette is probably like my second favorite team. In college, my little sister went there. Like I think Marquette, as long as Kolek comes back, they were saying he might have come back for the Big East championship, but they kind of held him off. So another 5-6 days off. If he's fresh, and I said this before, like I hope they have the early game and Shaka Smart is just going nuts on the sideline.
I was just gonna ask you about that. If they're like the first game of the day, I'm definitely taking them to cover for sure. Like,
they're going to give up 20 points in the first half. They're going to be in their ass. But yeah, that's just a big question mark though. Like if Kolek plays and he's healthy, I think against the Florida team that just lost one of their guys today, I think Marquette could easily make it into the second weekend. It just all depends on if Kolek's there. But I am in love with this South region across the board. So I'm excited to watch every single one of those games. One call out I do have is I think Nebraska is kind of fraudulent, not playing in Lincoln and playing a Texas A&M team who's pretty solid, pretty athletic. I just don't see that happening. That's like a 1 or 2 point spread. So I will be going with A&M there. But this is a good region for sure.
So you kind of brought up that storyline too between like the Nebraska AD just left for Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I saw he tweeted something out like congrats to both teams or whatever. But I think that's going to be just I love like kind of like these little different narratives that pop up like throughout the tournament too.
Yeah. So I'm going to be a little similar to Charlie here, but for different reasons. Not out of spite, but I'm just kind of fading the whole Big Ten like as a whole. I just think it's kind of weak. Like Michigan State, Nebraska, Wisconsin. Like I don't see any of them making a deep run. I do like Kentucky. That might be Brady will probably disagree with us because that's just how he is. But is that the other 4 of us? Do we all like Kentucky to at least make like the Elite 8?
Ooh,
because
they'd have to beat Marquette.
That's Charlie.
We're going to be torn.
I mean, it depends on Kolek's playing, but
yeah, I think Kentucky is making the Elite 8, and then them in Houston is going to be an awesome game.
Slade,
2 totally different styles.
Slade, this should make you feel better. Dickie V has Kentucky going all the way. So,
well, here's the thing too. I know we're not getting to our bets yet, but I took Houston to win it all. I got them at plus 650. They're now down to like plus 500, I think, because they got a pretty good draw. I kind of want to put a little bit on Kentucky too, because when those two play each other, I kind of like whoever comes out of that game right there.
Slade, how do you feel that Texas A&M only lost to Houston by 4 earlier this year? Does that make you nervous that they already played, or do you like that they have familiarity?
I'd probably like it. I mean, when was it? It had to be like November, right?
December.
December. Yeah, that had to be pretty early. I mean, if they won the game, I'm not going to, be too concerned about it. But I'm not even that concerned that they lost to Iowa State, so I can't really be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I echo everybody's statements on Kentucky. I'm a huge fan of them. Like I just love watching them play. I am concerned about them defensively for sure. Like I could easily see them getting torn up. But if it's Kentucky versus Marquette in that Sweet 16 matchup, that's probably going to be my favorite one to watch by far.
Yes.
I really want to see Houston, Kentucky head to head, because Houston's defense is number 1, like all the rankings. And then you have Kentucky's offense. Something's got to give. I just don't know who it's going to be.
Yes. And Marquette is desperate to get to the second weekend. I mean, I don't think Shaka Smart has made it the second weekend since
VCU
Final Four run at VCU. And I mean, Marquette, Ciro's, when was the last time they made a second weekend? Probably with Buzz.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah,
Jay Crowder maybe.
Yeah, this is one of the regions where everyone wants upsets, but I want the best teams to be playing in the second weekend.
Everyone wants upsets except NC State. That's the upset we can get behind.
Well, I was just going to mention that, Charlie. I'm not
fading NC State.
I don't think I'm going to take NC State to win that game, but I'm definitely taking DJ Burns over just for fun. Like I did it these past both games this past weekend with Ash, and it was so much fun rooting for this big fella. So I'm rolling with that too. But yeah, big shocker for them to win five games in 5 days. But Slade, you said you're fading them.
Yeah, it goes back to my conference tournament theory. I think a lot of it is overblown. I think it's a lot of recency bias. desperation, location, all of that comes into play. I don't think NC State is the team we saw the last 48 hours. So I would fade them, and I think that's probably the right side. I think water will find its level, as Brady always says.
Mm-hmm. Charlie, one area where we might have some tension here. I think I'm going to take Vermont to beat Duke straight up. Duke just hasn't been the same since Jay Billis was crying about the court storm. I don't think John Shire's still got it, man. So I think that's probably one, like if we're talking about like higher seeds that might advance, that's one I got my eye on. But
yeah, that court storming, that Duke player was out for the season, right? Or was he just okay 5 seconds?
So I think it turns out he just twisted his ankle, but you would have thought there was a sniper in the building based on how.
And then maybe he might have tripped somebody like a week or two later.
He might have tried to like intentionally take someone out the next game.
Somehow wasn't suspended.
Nope.
Grayson Allen never got in trouble, Brady. Why would he?
He didn't get suspended either.
I don't know.
No,
could you imagine ESPN?
They would for them to catch on.
All the college basketball hosts would be crying because they're all Duke alums.
Yeah, well, we still hate Grayson Allen. This is still an anti-Grayson Allen pod. He hurt Caruso, right, Charlie?
Yeah. No, I hate Grayson Allen. It's on site with him.
Man, he ruined the Bulls' playoff run. Didn't he?
Coiner's been trying to copy his hair for like the last 5 years, and he kind of pulled it off.
Yeah. Well, who's he on right now? The Suns?
Yep.
He's been playing well, actually. But anyway, yeah, this is not a Grayson Allen podcast. This is March Madness. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, do we have any other thoughts on, what is this, the South?
I think this is the toughest region.
You think this is tougher than the East?
Biggest
Brady?
names.
I do, yeah. Even like Florida being a 7 seed, I think they're good. Duke, I think Wisconsin could beat Houston. Like, I don't know. Marquette, really good 2 seed. Kentucky. I'd say this is like the best, like 1, 2, 3 that there is.
Wrong.
What do you think? What do you say, Slade?
The UConn bracket, I think, is harder. You've got the 2 teams in the championship last year. You have another Final Four team. You have the SEC champ, the Big Ten champ. I think that one's tougher.
I think Illinois is a little overrated. Obviously a good team, but
a Big 12 champ who's hot. Like, I don't know. I just think this one's the biggest names. Like Houston, Duke, Kentucky.
That might be part of it
Marquette,
too. I feel that way.
Wisconsin, like those are just big names. Obviously, they're all still very good, but I think that's just like in our head, we're like even like Florida as a 7, like big college, like big name.
Yeah.
But I still think it's really tough. Yeah.
I think this is the most fun region in the bracket, is how I would say it. Like that's the one I'm like every one of these games, I'm locked in. Like I'm like so much like looking forward to these games. Is kind of how I describe it, I guess.
That's kind of like the exact opposite. The West for me is like the least fun. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not a big Arizona guy. I like Baylor. Bama will be fun. I'm sick of watching a not good Michigan State team. I don't know. I'm not in it for the West this year. Just you can catch me in the Sweet 16. Otherwise, I'll be just that'll be on my small screen.
That West region is yuck. Is how I describe it too. Just like not a lot of meat there, I guess, but some good other ones in other parts of the regions for sure. So.
All right. So we kind of went through each of the regions. Now I figured, we can kind of go through some of our best bets and maybe just a few like rapid fire questions, just getting everyone's thoughts for kind of where we're at in terms of our handicapping and how we're filling out our bracket. So I guess let's just, if you guys need a second to think about it, let me know. But let's talk first round upsets. Is there anyone that like you think the line is wrong? You think that maybe they should be the favorite, even if it's just 2-point underdog, should be a 2-point favorite? Is there anything that's really standing out?
Are we defining an upset as seeds or like against the spread?
I think we should do against the spread.
Okay.
So like one thing where I think it's completely wrong, and this isn't a lot, Texas A&M plus 2.5 against Nebraska. I don't know. I'm not big on Nebraska. They have Bears' favorite player of all time on their team.
Tominaga. Yes, sir. Dude,
Other
he's
than
so
that-
much fun. He's so much fun.
Yeah, he's fun, but I don't think that's enough. I like A&M
No.
on that one. I think that one should be flipped.
Yeah.
I think Clemson for me.
Really?
I know people are all hot in New Mexico,
They're
but
getting 3 points. Wow.
I know.
Clemson
Yeah, I think Clemson is a good bet to win that game outright. Like a really good big guy, Joe Girard can shoot it from the perimeter and got a good wing player as well.
I'm with you, Brady, and that's surprising news. That kind of felt gross saying it, but I do like Clemson as well, and A&M.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 picks.
So one that I've been watching a lot of the kind of like, or just this past week of like San Diego State. They're at minus 7.5 right now against UAB, a team that like won the conference tournament but wasn't playing like super well. I think that line's a little low. That's what I'm looking at, minus 7.5 for sure. Of being a little bit, I think like that should be like probably 8.5, 9.5. It's not necessarily an upset, but just one that I'm kind of keeping my eye on too. And then I did mention earlier, I'm probably going to be taking Vermont straight up against Duke.
Yeah, the Vermont. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, Duke. With Shire as their coach, does anyone actually have confidence in him?
No,
I would actually
typical
kill for him.
crybaby loser.
Whoa! If he asked me to kill for him, I would.
Relax, man.
But I also think it's crazy. I was looking at like on the top 10 odds to win it all, like Duke's in there, and they're like a top 16 seed. Like, why they have no business? They're not going to win it all. Like, I don't know why they're in that. They always hype them up too much there, but they're gonna win the first game. Okay, let's give John Shire his flowers and get off his back, Brady. God damn.
Why should we give him his flowers? For what?
How about
He's
he's the best recruiter in the world?
Yeah, he's a good
And
recruiter.
He did not drop off after Coach
He should
K left.
start hanging out with Urban Meyer. Those guys are great recruiters.
Does he get a most 5-star banner? Are they hanging those up in Cameron?
Similar to
Zero's
your-
licensed
we're not
because
gonna-
he's a Chicago guy.
Yeah,
Shire's
dude,
from
I
Chicago, isn't
I
he?
saw him
Absolutely.
play and score like 20 points like a minute and a half. It was like one of the coolest basketball things
His
I've ever seen in my
uncle,
life.
his uncle was like on the staff with like Bruce Weber when he was at Illinois or something, and he still went to Duke.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
All right, next question. So let's say I come to you from the future, and there's one really high seed who, or I guess it's hard. Like, what is a low seed versus what is a high seed? You know what I mean? Like, is one a low seed or a high seed? How should we talk?
High
about this
seed
here?
should be a top 2. Or
Yeah, I mean, just any. I feel like any like just like double digit seed, in my opinion. Either way.
High seed is like 1.
Yeah, we're already flipped. So for the sake of this argument, high seed is 1, and then the lowest seed is 16. So in terms of like a really low seed, I come to you from the future. I say one low seed made a Elite 8 Final Four run, similar to a St. Peter's or an FAU. Is there anybody that stands out for you guys? Like I said, BYU, I could see them going to the Elite 8. They're only a 6. I know that's not really, predicting anything too crazy. I think, let's see, who else is there? Bear, you like McNeese State, who's a 12. Do you think they can actually win multiple games?
I think McNeese can beat Gonzaga, but I also don't think, like, would it shock anybody if Samford beats Kansas? Like, I think that's like very well in play too. So like that's one I could see if it's like a 12-13 game and they advance to the Sweet 16. Like, I mean, obviously, I'll hand up. I haven't watched a ton of McNeese State this year, but like if they're playing against Purdue, obviously some size might be an issue. But I mean, I don't know. They've won 30 games this year. Like I don't care where you're playing. That's tough to do. So that's one that I'll probably have my eye on. But Brady, not sure if you have one that you kind of get your eye on too.
Yeah, I'll go with Oregon. Talked about them a little bit before. As an 11 seed, they're only 1.5 point dogs against who are they playing? South Carolina. And then Creighton, I think they could beat them. Creighton, if they're not hitting their threes, definitely beatable. And then we've all talked about Tennessee and their struggles in the tournament under Rick Barnes. So definitely would not shock me. So yeah,
they have a good coach, and I still have
Absolutely.
that Iowa Oregon NCAA game from like 2-3 years ago still in my head.
Oof.
So that's probably part of it.
Yeah,
Men versus boys.
No one hurt.
That was rough.
Yeah.
First game off.
Charlie, you got any team you think can make a deep run?
This is also might just be a spite pick, but I watched them obviously beat Michigan State first game of the year and kind of run through theirs. But I like James Madison a lot. I know they're playing Wisconsin, so maybe I'm just leaning that way anyways. But they also won high 20s in games, almost 30. Like, had some good teams in their conference. So that's a solid team for sure. But also, like, I know we're not saying like super high seeds here, but I think Texas Tech, they get an NC State team. Again, obviously Burns is going to have 30 points. We're going to hit that over. But I
100%.
think that's a team that's deflated. And then if they get Kentucky in an off night, like if Kentucky like misses their threes, obviously I don't want that to happen. But that's one where I could see like a good, like strong, like Big 12 team who played a bunch of really good teams all year long, kind of like bully a bunch of freshmen who are like good offensive players. Like, wouldn't surprise me if that happened. So that's just something I'm thinking like, that could happen. Do I want it to happen? No. But yeah, I think James Madison is my pick. I'm going PMT.
Okay, I like that. I think it's definitely possible. And the reason why I'm asking and why I think this conversation is beneficial, especially for the listeners, is like if you're in a bracket pool and there's 100 people in it, these big ones for millions of dollars or even a few thousand, like if you want to win, you have to, stake your claim on one of these lower seeded teams. So, um, if you get chalky, if you're with 10 or less people, it's just like a family pool, pick those 1 seeds, get them to the Final Four. But if not, you got to pick a 4 seed to win it all. You got to pick these teams who the public is not picking if you want to make some money. So that's at least the way I look at it. I'd rather lose $20 in an entry because I got a little crazy than get like, 20th out of 1,000 just because I was a little bit chalky. So
yeah, I agree on that too. And just on that point, I know we're going to get to like national championship picks later, but like I think I feel like there's going to be a ton of chalk this year for teams, like people like taking teams this year to win the Natty. And I think I agree on that point. Like you kind of got to mix it up a little bit, not get anything too crazy, but like at least to make the Final Four, you got to mix it up a little. So I think that's a good point.
Bets you're making like are as different than when you're doing like a bracket challenge. Like if you're like, you can get Houston still like plus 500. That's one thing. If you think they're the best team, or UConn plus 400, you think they're the best team, but because that's still just making money. But if you're going to win one of those bracket challenges, the more people that are in it, the riskier you have to be, and the more upsets you have to be. Not just be reckless, but you're not going to make any money going chalk if you were in a contest with thousands of people, even hundreds of people. It's just not mathematically going to work out for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So I don't know about you guys. While you were talking earlier, I filled out a bracket. I know Brady's filled out a bracket. I'm not sure if everyone else got a chance yet. Are we ready to talk futures? Do you want to just stick with Sweet 16 for now? Do you want to talk about who we think's going to win it all? What are you thinking, Bear?
I like futures. I think it would be good to kind of look at maybe like Final Four teams and who we have like winning Natty and everything like that. So
sure.
Might be best everybody goes around, gives their Final Four if we can.
Let's start with Brady then. I know you got your initial bracket up, and obviously, at least speaking for myself, this is subject to change. We all, you're probably filling out multiple brackets, and there could be some, whether it's injury news or any other sort of news that can kind of change the outcome. But just initial thoughts here, Brady. What do you like?
So this is who we picked for our bracket, or like odds wise?
I guess either way you want to go about it. I
just don't know if those Final Four odds are up yet.
Gotcha.
The Final Four odds are not up. There's Sweet 16 and there's National Champion. So
sweet. So I'll go with who I just I'll first feel the bracket I filled out. I have UConn, Baylor, Kentucky, and Tennessee. My Final Four.
UConn, Baylor, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
Okay, so you have one seed in UConn.
I do, yep.
Okay.
Big SEC contingent, Brady. You think you're a little biased?
Could be, Bear.
Could be. Charlie, what about you?
I have UConn, Arizona, Kentucky, and Purdue.
Purdue. How about Purdue? Don't do that.
Everyone's going to have UConn, man.
Everybody's going to have UConn, so I think that's why I probably shouldn't have them.
Yeah, same.
But I don't like Illinois.
You already went, Brady.
I don't like Iowa State. I think I'm just gonna have UConn losing in the Final Four. So my Final Four, I got UConn. Going to the bottom left, I don't like Arizona. I don't like North Carolina. I'm gonna go with Baylor there as well. And then the other two regions, I'm going to take Creighton and I'm going to take Houston.
Yeah, I think I'll do chalk with UConn. I am going to take Arizona. I think I'll go from the South, Marquette. And then, I kind of like Creighton for coming out of that other one. So I went 1, 2, 2, 4, or 3. So that's at least like initially, that's kind of what I have written down. But as you said, subject to change. But I think Marquette gets it done, Charlie. I think this is time. If Kolic's back, I guess.
Shaka.
Yep.
Slade?
I've already given my national title futures. If you're doing a bracket challenge, I would be riskier than this. But since I'm just doing like what I think will happen, I am going with UConn and Houston to be in. I think they're the two best teams. And then for the bottom right bracket, the Purdue bracket, I'm not taking Purdue. I think I'm just going to go with Tennessee. And then I was tempted with Creighton and Oregon there, but I'm going to go with Tennessee. And then for the bottom left, I'm a little torn between UNC and Arizona, but I kind of do think this is the year Arizona gets to the Final Four. I think they'll lose when they get there, but I think they'll get there. I think it shaped up really well for them.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just looking at kind of like national championship odds right now. What I kind of like off of that, Slade, like I think that West region does shake out pretty nicely for North Carolina and Arizona. So like North Carolina plus 1,800, like really veteran guards, RJ Davis, like veteran presence inside with RJ.
They've been into a national title basically. That exact core.
Also, like if it's North Carolina versus Arizona, like Caleb Love versus RJ Davis, that would be I'm praying for that Elite Eight matchup. Like that would be fantastic television, like narratives, everything. But also, like I think I'm probably, if I'm looking at national championship odds, to get value between both those being plus 1,500 or plus 1,800. Like that's probably where I'd be looking at if I wanted to bet something for a future on the national championship. I'd be looking at one of those two.
I'd put all my money on North Carolina in that game.
Really? Why?
I feel like Caleb Love would just shoot them out of the game. Like he'd try to do too much. Have you guys looked at any of the Sweet 16 odds?
I'm looking right now, but I can imagine you've been scrolling for the last few minutes, Brady. So
what's Creighton at?
Creighton is minus 142. Oh no, that's Illinois.
I was really surprised. Baylor was
locked. Continue. Sorry.
Baylor was minus 115. I'd be all over that. And also Alabama is plus 108. I'd be all over that.
Okay. I kind of love Bama there.
Bama? Bama, they play Charleston, then they have to play Grand Canyon, St. Mary's, and then who's the other one you said you like, Brady?
I like Baylor at minus 115.
Okay, Baylor. So they got Colgate, and then they have the winner of New Mexico, Clemson. Yeah, I don't hate those at all.
I like that a lot.
Corner BYU plus 152.
Oh wow.
That's free money. They're going to destroy Duquesne and then Illinois. I know that's going to be a back and forth game. Even if you bet BYU,
over.
You can, and if you're scared, just live bet Illinois. I guarantee you get them at plus money at some.
You can get so Illinois to make the Sweet 16. They're yes minus 142, but no is plus 116 to win essentially 2 games.
Corner, do you really like BYU minus 7.5 against Duquesne?
Yes,
I do too.
I do. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you guys. I just want to live. Well, it just came out. Iowa women are a 1 seed, and in their bracket, it's UCLA, LSU as the 3 seed, and Kansas State, the 4 seed, who they've played twice this year already, haven't they? Or at least once.
They lost to them.
They lost.
Twice.
Yeah, they played twice. So that'll be maybe the 3rd time because they're the 4 seed, and then Colorado as a 5. So they got a really tough bracket.
I wonder if
the other 1 seeds are South Carolina, obviously, and then USC and Texas.
Do you know if South Carolina is on the other side of the bracket yet or no?
I do not have that information.
Okay.
I'll keep an eye on that for you guys and update. We can keep going on with our thing.
Yeah,
I really want these game times to drop.
Slid, that was like an Adam Schefter bomb, man. I appreciate you interjecting there. That was great.
Well, my dad texted me and said like Iowa women got a tough bracket, so I had to look.
Gotcha. Brady, you mentioned kind of these game times to drop. Is there anything that you're like hoping. I mean, I know usually the first games are on the East Coast would be in that kind of like maybe in the Indianapolis one, which could be Marquette, Charlie. But is there any game like you're kind of like hoping for? I feel like there's always one day that's like crazier than the other ones from an upset perspective. So I'd be kind of interested to see that.
Oh yeah. So you can see what games are on Thursday. Yeah, there's some good games Thursday. I think I was kind of trashing Dayton, but I think Nevada Dayton's going to be a hell of a game. McNeese Gonzaga Thursday, Oregon South Carolina Thursday, Drake Washington State Thursday. I mean, the Omaha region, there's going to be so many fans there.
Nuts.
Like that's going to be so
That's
cool.
gonna be nuts. Can I interest anybody in? I think Purdue's going to make the Elite Eight. Just looking at their 16 Utah TCU. I think they take care of that, and then whoever comes out of that pod between Gonzaga, McNeese, Kansas, and Samford, I think is going to be pretty weak too. So I doubt there's Elite Eight odds up yet, but that's going to be one I'm going to be looking at too.
The Final Four odds are up on DraftKings. Arizona is plus 180, and UNC is plus 235.
Really?
I think it's a little juicy right there.
Plus 235. They must have I wonder where that is though.
Yeah, I'm like, is there something we don't know about?
They're playing out west, but it's not.
They must think North Carolina has a tougher
to
games
Michigan
get there.
State, maybe.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I feel like all the computers and stuff like Alabama.
That's true. Sweet, but no, those are kind of just some of the natty picks I kind of, or at least futures I kind of liked. Is I don't know, Charlie, is anything else kind of jump out to you, from a future perspective, or anything you have your eye on?
I'd have to dive in tonight, and I'll be in the lab for hours tonight looking at all this stuff and making a bunch of different picks. But no, I agree with some of the things you guys have said. I think Baylor has that bottom left. That's one of those things where I wouldn't mind if a couple of those games in that West region kind of get sprinkled in. And I got that's one I miss. That's okay, play that on Thursday at 4:00 when I'm out and about. But I don't know. I do think Purdue, they're going to have good odds, and I just don't think that's the strongest Kansas Gonzaga's team we've seen. And then other than that, I mean, natty picks are kind of chalky, but I think we got to start with the Sweet 16 picks first, and then we'll go from there.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think just personally how I think this is going to go, I think UConn is so good. I think Houston's good. I think it's going to be one of those two teams ultimately. So that's why I don't want to give a national championship pick. I could give you Florida 65-1. I really like them, especially a couple weeks ago, and they fared pretty well in the SEC, losing in the title game. But unless you're taking a long shot, I just don't know if it's worth it to bet UConn at plus 420 or Houston plus 550.
Only if you can get an odds boost.
Yeah, if you can get an odds boost, yeah, but most people can't do that. So that's why I'd say just kind of wait and pick and choose your spots for the Sweet 16, Elite 8. My Sweet 16 pick of BYU, that's going to be my best bet. So if you guys want to go around right now and give a best bet here, let's try to make our listeners some money here. So I'm taking
rapid fire
BYU to the Sweet 16. Chalk it up.
Nice. Slade, what do you got?
I like it.
I feel like I've already given out a lot. I'm sticking with my Houston future. I like Baylor too.
Let's just do the exact opposite of what I just said. Okay. Houston.
Yeah, I already gave out my picks though. So you said let's not give them out, but I already gave them out twice.
Okay. All right.
And I guess I'll go with Oregon. Yeah. I don't have the Sweet 16 odds in front of me, but I also want to find out what Creighton's Sweet 16 odds are.
What is your best bet, Slade? You just gave 3. What is your best bet?
Tennessee minus 19.5 on Thursday.
All right. Tennessee minus 19.5. Thank you. Chalk it up. We need something. We need to put a parlay together if people are interested. All right.
I'm always interested.
Bear, you're up.
Echoing Slade's kind of chalkiness, I'm going with Arizona minus 19.5 against Long Beach State, a team that fired their coach earlier in the week and is now continuing on coaching. So that should tell you about the kind of the state of where their program's at. So I think Arizona rolls. So I got them minus 19.5 too.
Okay. Brady?
My best bet is also Tennessee minus 18.5 or minus 19.5.
Man, a lot of Rocky Top in this chat, man. A lot of Rocky Top in this group.
And then before Charlie goes, I do want to say I gave BYU Sweet 16, but because I'm feeling a little bit left out about not, since that's kind of technically a future, my Kentucky minus 12.5. That's my ATS first round.
And if you need, since Slater already took Tennessee, I will take BYU minus 7.5 first round. Gets the spread.
Perfect. Okay.
Charlie, do you have a dog for us? We're going real favorite heavy here.
Zeros definitely does not have a dog.
Oh, Brady. Here's my dog. It's not really a dog. Give me Clemson plus 2.5.
There we go.
I like that.
All right. We got Clemson plus 2.5. Brady gave out Tennessee minus 19.5. BYU minus 7.5. Bears on Arizona minus 19.5. Slade is on 1,000 different things, including Tennessee minus 19.5. And I'm on BYU Sweet 16 and Kentucky minus 18.5. So obviously it's a little hard to give out like a ton of picks right now, especially with a lot of us on here. But speaking for BetGPT, we're gonna have another podcast either later this week, maybe, to give out some picks. Slate, I think we should maybe do like a quick episode just giving out some picks, and then I'm sure 3 Points Pod will be having plenty of content coming up as well. So yeah, just make sure you're tuning into both shows for that.
Tip times were just released.
What do you got, Brady?
Plan your schedules accordingly.
Don't
first game, Michigan State, Mississippi State on Thursday.
Puke.
11:15.
Here's a tip.
I hope I have a meeting at that time. I can't watch it.
If you're,
dude, I'll be in Vegas with my buddy who went to Michigan State.
Yeah, hey, we also need to bring this up, Charlie. You're going to be in Vegas for the tournament. Tell it like
boots on the ground, everybody.
Boots on the ground.
I'm heading out there late Wednesday night and come back Sunday. So I'll be in Vegas for way too damn long.
Yeah,
I'll be out there all weekend.
Take it easy that first day
with some buddies watching hoops. A couple MSU guys, so I'm sure they'll be locked in to that first game. But no, I'm excited. Nerd on Vegas. I'm excited to do it for March Madness, and we'll maybe never ever go back again afterwards. See how much I lose. But no, I'm excited to just watch a bunch of games out there. It'll be fun.
So first trip to Vegas is in one of the busiest weeks of Vegas of the year. I love that for you, man. That's awesome.
It's going to be filled with a bunch of dudes just walking around Vegas.
Sweet. Cool. Well, Charlie, enjoy your trip. Just one last plug too for the bracket pool. Wanted to mention again, everybody gets one entry. Thank you for correcting me earlier on that. But we'll be tweeting out the link to submit your entry again. Follow 3 Points Podcast and BetGPT Podcasts, and reply with your username. So, boys, really enjoyed doing this. I'm getting a chance to collab like this. We'll be doing it again soon, but really excited for favorite part of the year here in March.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're excited to do this again. I know we have a couple things coming up, especially like we're going to have Charlie on for a Masters podcast. Bear and I will be talking NFL draft. So just want to enjoy these next couple weeks of March Madness. But
Brady's going to come on and do a live pod about being a dad. It's going to be sick.
Very well-rounded group here. Yeah. But yeah, we appreciate everyone listening. This has been a collaboration episode, the first of many, hopefully. So thank you very much. And we'll catch you guys later.